Let's get this hat looking good this way. Do we need a new hat? Possibly do need a new hat, though. This is all wonky. What's going on here? We might need a new hat, guys. This seems all wonky, but it will do for today. Tilt it a bit to the side. So let's get the stream underway. Today being Thursday, the 11th of June. Getting right into it, there's something I want to discuss with you guys. I want to talk about this whole Akon's podcast with the Flagrant guys, you know, Andrew and Shu. Let's discuss what Akon's been on about, because Akon's been on the Flagrant and he's literally been taking credit for every single thing to do with Afrobeat. He's been there telling everyone he's the pioneer. Without him, Afrobeat wouldn't be where it is today. He's just been doing the most. So right now, let's get into it and see. Akon has bare stories, you know. Akon has a lot of stories. But let's pay attention to the one with Wizkid, because obviously that's pertaining to us as well. Let's see.
Well, yeah. Is it interesting for you, exciting for you to see how much African music is being embraced in the mainstream?
Yeah, I mean, interesting enough, in the beginning, it felt tough though. Because that was why I actually stopped doing music after I released my album in 2008. I promoted for about 2 years. I did the World Cup in South Africa, and then I stayed in Africa and went straight to Nigeria and started developing what you now know as to be Afrobeat. But it really was...
Wow, Akon, that's a massive claim. You started developing what we now call Afrobeats. Come on, man. Calm down. Chill. What are you on about? Akon, don't do this, please. We like you. But you didn't develop Afrobeats, okay? So, but let's see what else you've got to say.
Afrobeat was more of a political movement started by an artist named Fela. And he was really big and very influential in Nigeria. He was like the rebel.
This Fela Kuti.
Yes. Yeah. He was like a rebel, but he would speak the people's words through his music. And he would always combat the government on what they ain't doing, what they should be doing. And it became one of those kind of things. So it was more...
Bob Marley-esque figure in terms of his influence?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, okay.
He's a good analogy. So when we went up there, that music was well respected, but wasn't commercial a lot.
Akon, what do you mean when we went up there? Who's this we? Who are you talking about?
And that's when we came and kind of brought more of a pop feel to it and gave it a more rhythmic type of, allowance to where people outside of Africa can actually relate to it if he wasn't quite understanding what was being said.
Wait, when is this?
This started from 2008 to recent, bro. Wizkid was my first artist that I signed.
Wow. Akon.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, first of all, I didn't know Wizkid was signed to Akon. I'm going to have to look into that. I still believe this is all, chit chat, but let's keep it going.
The lore is crazy. Your life is unbelievable.
No, it's crazy.
Like Wizkid was how old?
Because I thought Wizkid was signed to Banky W, but maybe some negotiations behind the scenes. Banky was somehow maybe signed to Akon somehow, maybe, which means effectively Wiz is kind of signed to him, but we don't know. We'll have to check back with the facts on that.
He was 13.
Crazy.
Wow.
And
he's a star. Like he was a
facts. Wizkid has been a star from day one. Facts.
He was a star.
But at 13, like musically, he was a star.
When he walked into the room, we just knew, okay, this kid is gonna be, he's something big. And he had
aura. FC for a reason, man. FC for life. Aura.
An amazing voice. He was also writing his own little songs at that time. Wow. He was managed and ran by a guy named Banky W at the time, that's who I partnered up with to sign this.
So you're in there, you see
what I'm saying? Like, there's always behind the underhand movement where people know they see. So it seems like Wizkid was signed to Banky W, but somehow Banky W kind of had this agreement with Akon behind the scene, which probably wasn't, in the public's eye. So let's keep it going.
Some talent. You also see potential for this genre of music internationally.
Yes.
What makes you think, like what? I mean, because I imagine as a young kid growing up in the States, being African, right? There wasn't the same like embracing and love and like learning to connect with your roots.
Right.
Like I'm 42, so I remember there was like a distinct separation. Even like maybe I would even go so far as to say like
no, like everybody hid the fact that they was African. Like literally, people was embarrassed to be African. You know what I mean?
Cap. I call Cap. Nah, not my generation of Africans. I don't know what this guy's on about. Not in the UK. We were proud. Even till today, we're proud. Africans have always been proud men, Africans have always been, let me not speak for the whole of Africa, but Nigerians, all my days, Nigerians have always been proud to be Nigerians. So I call that Cap. Nigerians, they used to tell you we are for Nigerians, So nah, I'm not buying that. I think what it is the disdain or some, friction was between the Caribbeans, the Jamaicans, and the Africans, but not from the Africans' point of view. I think that first of all, yes, they used to make fun of African people, make fun of African names and all that, but during the time Wizkid came on the scene, during my era, Africans were proud to be Africans. I've never had an African friend that wasn't proud to be an African. We love being African. We love being Nigerians. We love our history. We love where we're coming from. We love like what we've turned from nothing into something. We love all that. We love the struggle. We were proud. And at the time, what people are not realizing is most Jamaicans at the time were not educated. So the rest of the world used to see, the color of the skin and they just assume, because the Jamaicans were the first on the scene, even if it's in the States, in the UK, the Jamaicans were the first on the scene. So they were the ones tasked with, representing us, people of color, in the light. But they didn't make a good job of that, honestly, because they were not really educated. Their women did the best they could do, but the men were underrepresenting, because the Jamaican men would have like 5 baby mothers and not take care of any of the kids. Facts. The Jamaican brothers, they would have like 10 baby mothers and they're hiding from the kids. They're hiding to say, that's my child. But when Nigerians came on the scene, Nigerians came with a whole different mentality. The Nigerian men would have a child. That's my baby. That's my child. Ooh, see, that's my child. It's so beautiful, So Nigerians started to change the misconceptions around typical black people. Because Nigerians were not coming to England or going to the USA Nigerians were going there to read. They were going there to be educated. They were doing masters. They were doing PhDs. Nigerians are vastly well read. If there's a Nigerian man cleaning your toilet, if you go and check his history, this dude's probably got a degree. So Nigerians were flipping the game, and Nigerians were not the ones that, would have a child and not look after the child. This thing started to sink within the women. Like, if you have a child with a Nigerian man, he's taking care of that child. He's taking care of you. Nigerian men were stepping up. I have to give kudos to Nigerian men, because the Jamaicans people really ruined our reputation as black men. But the Nigerian men had to come from Africa and start cleaning up the mess, And the Jamaicans are always teasing us, your name is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But they forget that their name is a Caucasian name. Their name is a Caucasian name. I don't want to go too deeply into that because obviously there's bare blames to be laid here and there. But can you imagine someone answering his master's name, teasing the real name, which is the real African name? These are your roots. So yeah, there was friction in situations like that. The Jamaican men were doing the most. They were not taking care of their affairs. They were doing all the rubbish, which overall, when people looking at it like from an overview situation, they just paint the whole black race with the same brush. It's until the Nigerian men stepped on the scene, the Nigerian men started to, to change all that misconception about things. People started to realize, oh shit, this guy's well read. This guy's well educated. The doctor is a Nigerian. Doesn't have to be Nigerian, he's an African. The nurses are Nigerians, the Africans, And during that period, Wizkid came on the scene. Wizkid came on the scene during that period. Because sometimes you need, in order to get this sauce moving, for people to change culture, to change views, you need to have the music that's also popping. So Wizkid came on the scene, and Wizkid really elevated the culture, elevated the music. Now people are speaking about Nigerians in a positive light. You understand? So all these mixtures of things came together at the right time. So but let's keep it going and hear what
I was fighting some clowning. Yeah, all these comedian clown was like African jokes. There was like if you was being shown on, the African jokes was the most popular. Right. Put it that way. So nobody wanted to be African.
Well, credit to Nigeria.
I apologize for my past.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so that's a
credit to Nigerians for changing that stigma. I have to credit Nigerian men. I'm sorry to the other wife, but Nigerian men, you've done a fantastic job. You really changed the whole stigma and elevated a whole continent. So during this period, another person people don't like to give credits to during this period, is because we keep saying Wizkid elevated the music. Facts, he did. But there's somebody else that was pre-Wizkid, For your music to pop and go global, your music needs to be popping in the clubs. Your music needs to be popping in the bars. And Two-Face was popping, but not in the clubs like that. P-Square was popping, but not in the clubs like that. These were like people's private Nigerian parties. Yes, they were popping in those places. But the person who was popping just before Wizkid took over, who really, probably just 1 year or 2 years, he only had like 2 main songs. Nice. Dum, dum, dum. Let's go there. So people forget Nice, but Nice was popping in majority of the underground clubs. Nice was popping. They were putting in a bit of Nice with a bit of Bashman and stuff like that. Nice was popping. And then Wizkid came with Don Dole and just, you know what I mean? And then this is how Afrobeats took over. Because back in the day, it used to be just Bashman. Back in the day, people just be like, within the scenes anyways, of the African Caribbean scenes, it used to be just Bashman. And then they started doing, when Wizkid started popping with a few other artists, they started doing Bashman versus Afrobeat. Even before that, they'll be like playing a bit of Afrobeat, like 10% Afrobeats within a whole Bashman, club. And then they started doing increases to like 30% Afrobeat, 70%. Before you know it, they were doing 50-50. 50% Bashman, 50% Afrobeat. And all of a sudden now Afrobeat's standing all on his own. Afrobeat does not need any help. It doesn't need Bashman. You know what I mean? Because Afrobeat has so much spices within it. It's not just one. Like within Afrobeat, there's so many different kind of layers of music. There are different type of layers of music. We're just calling it Afrobeat, but the Afrobeat is like the whole fella wife, but we've just grown to call it all Afrobeat. But within Afrobeat, there's so many different elements of different sounds within it. So I don't see it ever going away because something else from it would pop off. You know what I mean? Because there's so much ingredients. It's the motherland. It's the motherland.
So you grew up in this time, and now you're seeing massive artists from the regions and like
doing well locally. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. How they don't know about this.
But what gives you the feeling that it would be successful when you grew up in a place where there was this separation?
Well, because I know in Africa it was heavily popular, but I knew it just wasn't exposed in America to even get the chance to become popular.
Got it.
Right? So I just knew that there's certain elements in it that I knew that made it too local on why it would never leave and become bigger than the continent.
And this is like sonic elements?
Yeah, it's sonic elements. I'm knowing what the U.S. want to hear. I'm knowing what Europe want to hear.
This is like taking Chinese food from China and turning it into a version of it where Western people...
Exactly.
Got it.
Ooh,
okay.
So perfect. That's the perfect way to explain it.
And this is just because, like, your father was a musician, if I'm not mistaken, so, like, you grew up classically trained in music.
Right.
So, like, you can consume this from this culture that you understand as a part of your identity, but also recognize the limitations in the music for like Western audiences to go.
And how much not to take out to keep it authentic.
Because they also need to still like it.
Yes. Right. They have to love it.
Yeah, it can't feel too commercialized where they start going, no, that's not the real thing.
Exactly. That was a challenge. That was a challenge.
Akon, you're doing too much.
So you're saying Afrobeats...
Akon, you're talking too much. You're capping too much, you know. Yes, you was on that song called Chop My Money, but come on now, man. You didn't revolutionize anything, you know what I mean? Like, you happened to be on a hit song that was already pre-written for you to jump on. Yes, you did well on your verse, but the song was already pre-written, the beats was already pre-made, you know what I mean? So just because you happen to be on one hit, you know what I mean, that you just... You know what I mean? Made the whole genre take off. Nah, I'm not crediting you with that. I'm sorry, Akon. I'm sorry on this one. But
it really exists in its modern iteration before you go there.
100%.
Wow.
Whoa, dude.
Around this time?
Well, Burno, he was young at that time, too. He was
we're talking 2008.
Yeah. Burno was he was probably trying or thinking about being an artist at that time.
Wow.
He wasn't at that level, nowhere near it.
Wow. At what point do you go, oh, Afrobeats is out of here? Like, this sound is global. Is there a moment?
When WizKid actually popped, that's when I realized, okay, we got him. Because it took a while. And when I came to the U.S. and I was shopping Wiz, they thought it was reggae. And they're like, well, reggae's not really popping right now. I'm like, it's not reggae.
It's
not reggae.
Bigger
But that's what made me go to London. When I went to London,
Afrobeat
London was more open.
man.
And
Well,
there's a lot
also
of
it's a huge
Africans.
African community.
So London was where it actually broke. And we was able to break P Square first.
In terms of the Western,
two twins.
Western world.
Right. And we had a record called Chop My Money that went fucking ridiculous. It charted in the US charts, but it charted in the UK charts first. You know what I mean? But at that time, those guys were like, they were performers. Imagine if you had two ushers and they were twins. That's what they were, but in the Afrobeat market.
Right.
Like when you see their performances, it was nuts. That's how they actually got. And then while that's happening, WizKid is more authentic at that time for what we were trying to portray. Whereas P Square were more commercial. So P Square came, what actually opened the door for Wiz to bust through the door with the authenticness of what they recognize in P Square. And then it just...
Yeah, P Square did their thing. But I'm telling you, yeah, you've got to credit Nice. Doom, 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 doom. That beat. He only had 2 tracks, 2 songs. Those songs was enough. Once you hear Nice in the music, you know, in the club, you know, it's go time, it's party time, you know. People didn't even understand what he was saying. Let's go there. Go with me, whatever. But they loved the beats. The beats moved the beats moved the crowd. So I know P Square put in work. I know Two Face put in work and all that. But I think for me, if I'm to layer it up, like who bubbled it around and then who took it international, the person who led the foundation, bubbled it around was Nice. And the reason why I'm saying this is because yes, people were playing Two Face in their car, playing P Square in their house, but these are predominantly already Nigerian household places, predominantly in Nigerian parties. You would hear the P Square, you would hear but in clubs started to play Nice. Once Nice comes up, everywhere scatter. Once Nice comes on, Nice got their ears, and then Whiskey was like, listen, Whiskey like polished the whole thing, you know. Whiskey just like, okay, let me polish it up. Whiskey polished the whole thing and was able to ship it abroad. So when Whiskey made that bar, my music travel no visa, it made sense. It was authentic. You understand? The thing was authentic. The thing entered. And that's why people should give Wizkid like the flowers, his accolades. How can people now be saying, well, we don't hear you do anymore? You're talking to somebody that is the reason why you're being fed through what you're doing, and we don't hear you do anymore. You're talking to somebody that's responsible for the reason why you're in this genre. Even if you know here Igbedu, you have to dobale. When you see Wiz, you have to dobale. Even if you know here Igbedu, you have to pay homage. Why? Because you will not be well fed if he didn't open that door for you. And he's still relevant till today. Wizkid has got to be the GOAT of Afrobeat. We're talking about somebody that came from an early age, opened the door for international people to buy into the music. See, revenue streaming from Nigerian views is not the same revenue income from Western views. Just because you have 1 million view in Nigeria or somewhere in Africa, that 1 million view is not the same amount of money you get for the 1 million view in the UK or in the US. So if you say, yeah, it was already popping in Nigeria, yes, it was popping, but were the artists eating? Are we going to forget we had Tony Tetula? Are we going to forget that we had, what's his name? Like even the Two-Face them and all those. Yes, do you know what I mean? Were they eating as much as they're eating today? Where people just see what they do now. But money don't scatter ahead. But I just they press everywhere. So yes, you have to pay homage. No one should ever, even if Wizkid falls off tomorrow musically, no one should ever call his name or put the stain on his name because he's the one that opened the door for you. Okay? Even till today, artists still have that same vision Wizkid had. You know, let's keep it going.
At this point in your career, can you kind of like see, do you know when the trend is going to pop?
I don't know when it's going to pop, but I know what will pop.
Right. So it's like, but is there a moment where you see something building momentum and you're like, yeah, this is out of here.
Yeah.
In a year, this is out of here.
Yeah,
right?
I think we've had enough of that for the time being. I want to see, there's something called, what's his name? Wizkid, Young Dylan. There's this children's show where I think it's quite popping. I don't know if it's on Disney, but this children's show, whatever. But there's a clip of it where he was talking about Wizkid, you know? He was saying he was literally gassed. They pretended to him that he's got a meeting with Wizkid or some stuff like that. This guy went nuts. This is a children's program of today, not of old, of today. I think it's Disney. I'm not sure. I have to look into that. And throughout basically the whole episode was about him trying to meet Wizkid. That's to tell you that Wizkid is not on the same level as a lot of artists or people just call Wizkid's name anyhow. This is a Disney show for kids, watched by millions. And in the whole episode was him trying to meet Wizkid. You know, maybe I'll look into it after, but I'm not sure this is it.
Music is my thing. Music is my thing. Like how your things are science, fashion, and tutoring. My things are music, being awesome, and being awesome.
Yeah, that's the show, but I can't find the Wizkid bit, but you should check it out. They literally dedicated the whole episode to Wizkid. Wizkid was not even on the show or anything, but it's to show you, say Wizkid has gone far, you know. FC for life. FC is not easy. You know how many people are FC? FC. But let's move on let's talk about this whole debacle with 50 Cent and his baby mama. So, guys, we all know that this beef between 50 and Diddy, this is not a new beef, you know, but some certain things are beginning to make sense. Stay with me and you get where I'm coming from. So we all seen the whole situation with the video with Diddy and 50 Cent's baby mother, Daphne or Daphne. I would just call her Daphne Joy. You get the point. But so basically, in this video, 50 Cent's baby mother is doing the most. 50 Cent's baby mother is doing the most in this video with Diddy and some allegedly, I think, is a adult entertainer, sex worker dude. And they literally just recorded the whole thing. You know? Now, personally, I haven't seen the video, but I have read the transcripts and what people who have seen the video, what they had to say about it. So, but what I'm trying to bring to you, to your attention, is that some certain things are beginning to make sense right now. Because 50's always been fighting with Diddy. 50's always been fighting with Diddy, you know? But now we know why. Diddy had turned 50's baby's mother into his babe. Diddy has turned 50's baby mother into you can even class her as a sex worker. It was put in the Cassie files. Now that's got to burn. There's nothing 50's gonna say that's got to be painful. That's got to be painful. Making her do all sorts. And she's doing it willingly, you know. Now you have to remember, this is a girl that 50 dated for some time. This is a girl that 50 was all loved up with, you know, doing the most with, you know, taking pictures. Like they were all loved up together. Lovey-dovey, small love, one thing. You know what I mean? This is why you need to do your background on these bitches. This is why you need to do your background on these bitches before you know. So, look at that. Ooh. So what I'm trying to bring to your attention is this. Yep. This beef had been going on for some time. Diddy had taken 50's bitch and made 50's bitch his bitch. Now, 50 Cent, now remember that Diddy's right-hand man for a long time was Maze. Maze was Diddy's right hand. Basically, Maze was like Diddy's bitch. So now, this video makes sense. 50 Cent, because when Maze left Bad Boy Record, Maze went and became a pastor. And then after some time, Maze came back into the music scene. And then there was beef between Diddy and 50 due to Maze's contracts. And for us watching from the outside, we just thought it's a contract, whatever. But there were things behind the scenes which make sense today. So in this video, if you notice in this video, 50 was treating Maze like a bitch. Subliminally shots fired at Diddy, but we didn't get it. We couldn't get it. We did it because it was not in the limelight. But I remember watching the video and I thought, why is 50 treating this nigga? Why is 50 treating this dude like a bitch? Pay attention. I think it was called Window Shopper. Let's see. So 50 Cent, Window Shopper. Pay attention to how 50 dined and wined Maze. You know? Diddy's bitch to buy Diddy's bitch shoes shopping, just like Diddy was taking Daphne to buy her stuff. But we didn't get it at the time. Now it makes sense. Pay attention. Why Maze? Maze all around the city, you know. 50 knew what he was doing. Unknown to Maze, Maze had no idea what 50 was doing. You've got to be scared of 50. You've got to put some respect on 50 there, because 50 knew this all along. Because 50 knew about the video all this time. Putting Maze in a fork.
She came by, and used some window shopper, and the dealership, try to get a test drive. Try and stick me, I'm a little for full. It ain't my fault you done f***ed up your Rio at the dice game.
Isn't Maze just following 50 like a bitch? All around while 50 spending money on Maze. The irony of this, the metaphor within this. Maze was Diddy's right-hand man. Some people said Maze was Diddy's bitch. Maze was Diddy's bitch. Diddy took 50's bitch. In 50's eyes, by taking Maze, he's taking Diddy's bitch.
I better act right when we got the tops down. Yeah, this
Look at this. Look at this.
When we rolling, show lock down, quick to put up, show.
Wow. Wow, put a ring on it. The meanings in this is mad. The subliminal meanings in this is crazy. Wow. Wow.
Shopper, and then they make me, I think I know why. They use a window shop. They get a test drive.
This bitch looks so happy. A smile on his face with a milkshake. Wow. Wow.
You see me?
Is that TK?
My best friend, good potential.
It's TK.
From New York, I start spitting G at it like a pet metal.
Well, guys, I think that's the end of the show. Make of that what you want to make of it. But from where I stand, it seems like 50 already knew what was going on with Daphne and Diddy. You know, this beef wasn't just today. And that's why he's made a documentary for it. It's personal. It's personal. And there's no way 50 is happy that that video came out. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't make him look good. That's his baby mother.